off these sites for good. And the government is on the side of my constituents too, in pushing forward with a mandatory short-term lets registration scheme. This will be the first time to give us a clear, uncontested data on where the short-term lets are and who is operating them. Hosts will have to enter their property's address and receive a unique reference number, which will then appear on all sites where it is let. And they will have to confirm that they are following existing regulations which apply to short-term lets, such as fire, gas and electrical certificates. This will be transformative for how we enforce short-term lets in London. With a unique reference number, teams like those in Westminster will be able to make much more easily pinpoint problem properties and take them off major sites for good. But there is a piece of information which this scheme must collect, which right now we cannot: the number of nights for which homes are being let out. Without this crucial data, enforcing the 90-day limit will remain an elusive task to local authority planning enforcement teams. Data from AirDNA indicates that nearly 6,000 short lets in the cities of London and Westminster are being let out at over the 90-day limit. These are almost certainly the worst offenders when it comes to the other community disruptions which I have already mentioned. If we simply made these actors follow the law, or better still, took them off the market entirely, we would significantly reduce the disruption caused by short-term letting. So why can't we take this data? It's because of the Data Protection Act, which currently prevents this information from being shared. While crucial for ensuring that our personal data is more secure than in comparable countries outside of the EU, in this case, the Data Protection Act is standing in the way of effectively regulating short-term lets. A number of exemptions do, however, exist in the legislation, and my motion today would extend this exemption to include the number of nights short-term lets are used. This, however, cannot be the only action which is needed on tackling short-term lets. Time and time again, my constituents do bring up licensing as a possible solution to the spread of short-term lets, backed by reams of research from policy experts. Just as if a business were applying to open a bar or a cafe in a local area, so too should a short-let host have to apply to their local authority before opening what is, in essence, a micro-hotel in the middle of a residential block. While every local authority should be able to undertake their own approach to this, local authorities like Westminster and the City of London, where concentrations are so high, need to have the power to decide where homes can be let out and under what conditions. The government's upcoming database is a crucial step in this direction, as it can, for the first time ever, provide an authoritative data set on the extent of this problem, and this will benefit members of Parliament and their constituents across the country. My constituents are ready to engage with this database and report poor practice. The local authorities I work with are on hand to upscale their work, which the benefits of it can bring. All we need now is this final piece of the puzzle, knowing how many nights homes are let out for. This piece is well within our grasp, and it is up to us in this House to deliver it.
That the honourable member have leave to bring in the bill. The question is that the honourable member have leave to bring in the bill. As many are of that opinion, say aye. Aye. The contrary, no. I think the ayes have it. The ayes have it. Who will prepare to bring in the bill?
Rachel Blake, Lizzie Collins, Florence Eshalomi, Dame Meg Hillier, Alison Hume, Jane Kirkham, Joe Powell, Anna Geldard, Will Stone, Noah Law, Tony Vaughan, Dr. Scott Arthur.
Rachel Blake.
Short-term let accommodation data sharing requirements bill.
Second reading what day?
27th of February.
27th of February. A point of order, Richard Tice.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd be grateful for your advice as to how I register my utter disgust at the Member of Parliament for the City of London and Westminster scoring a cheap political point about me visiting a synagogue in this constituency.
Well, first of all, it's not a point of order, and you have corrected by putting on the record. What I would say is, a point of order was made, and this is where I stand by my ruling. If you are visiting for prayer or visiting in a private capacity, one wouldn't be expected to be told. But if one is doing it in an official position and are going to a synagogue as an invite, it is only right that it is on all of us to ensure that the Member of Parliament is aware. And I will leave it at that. I'm not going to continue the debate, but just want to reaffirm to all members, whether shadow ministers or backbenchers, please ensure the Member of Parliament is aware of a visit. And when I say visit, not in a private capacity, but in a political capacity.
Point of order.
A point of order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to raise a point of order on a previous point of order that I've raised regarding the Royal Mail and Postal Delivery Services. The reason I mention it, Mr. Speaker, is that recently I wrote to some constituents about my point of order and letter delivery services, and the letter, House of Commons First Class, took 12 days to arrive. Now, the fact is that there are many, many members across this House who are writing on important issues on House of Commons paper, in House of Commons envelope, and they are taking many, many days to arrive, meaning that many of our constituents might be ill-informed about the speed in which members of Parliament are responding, which, of course, you will know, Mr. Speaker, can be raised with the Parliamentary Commissioner for Standards.
What I do know is it's certainly not a point of order, and that's the first part to where we start. What I would say is, quite rightly put it on the record, I'm sure your constituents are well aware that you're diligent in your replies, and it's literally down to Royal Mail rather than the 12 days that they were hanging on to your letter. What I would say for all of us, that Royal Mail, quite right, has a duty of care. It says first class, we expect a first class delivery service. With the price of postage, the Royal Mail should be embarrassed by what you've raised today. But it still doesn't make it a point of order. Right. Let me move on to motion number 2 of the House, the Minister to move.
Beg to move.
Order. The question is on the order paper. The question is, as on the order paper, as many that opinion say aye.
Aye.
The contrary, no. The ayes have it. The ayes have it. We now come to the 7 o'clock motion. Oh, noted. Right. We now come to the motion relating to police, and I call the Minister to move the motion. Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I beg to move that the Police Grant Report England and Wales 2026-27, which was laid before Parliament on the 28th of January this year, be approved. Before I come to the detail of the settlement, please can I associate myself with the remarks of the Prime Minister and the Leader of the Opposition in Prime Minister's Question Time, adding our condolences and our thoughts following the stabbing in Kingsbury High in Brent yesterday. I know we all hope that those who've been injured will be able to recover and that justice will be done in a very difficult situation. I also want to take the opportunity, before I come to the detail, to pay tribute to the men and women who work to protect the rest of us from harm. I did not need to become policing minister to appreciate the debt of gratitude that is owed to these dedicated public servants. But it is right to say that having the honour of serving in this post has given me a daily insight of the remarkable work of our police. I'm sure the whole House will join me in expressing gratitude to the officers, staff and volunteers who are, as we speak, performing their duties with professionalism, skill and courage. We are all fortunate to have so many brave individuals dedicated to keeping us safe, whether they be first responders turning towards danger, PCSOs immersed in their neighbourhoods, or staff working behind the scenes to track the latest threats to the public. And that is why our record cash investment in the policing system for England and Wales is so important. We are determined to provide our police forces with the resources they need to continue their vital work, as well as support to invest in their future. In 2026-27, overall funding for the policing system in England and Wales will be up to £21 billion. This is an increase of £1.3 billion compared to 2025-26. Funding available to local police forces will total up to £18.4 billion, an increase of £796 million from 2025-26. This is an increase of 2.3% in real terms. Of this funding increase, £432 million will come from additional government grant, whilst £364 million will come from police precept, assuming PCCs choose to maximise the £15 limit. Furthermore, we have worked with a small group of forces who evidenced particular financial pressures to agree additional precept flexibility. The settlement also includes at least £1.2 billion for counter-terrorism policing to preserve national security and guard against the most severe threats, as is the primary duty of any government.
I thank the Minister for giving way. As she's getting into the detail of the funding package, will she just accept two broad points? The first is, on Labour's watch, the overall number of police officers in England has fallen. And second, because of cost pressures on police forces from other decisions taken by her government, the Association of Police Commissioners has said there's a £500 million shortfall in the allocation of funding from this government to police forces.
With £21 billion going in overall into policing and £18.4 billion direct going into our police forces, I do not accept that there is a shortfall in funding. There is more money going into policing this year than there was last year by hundreds of millions of pounds. On his first point, and I suspect the front bench will try to make the same points, we have, having worked with police chiefs, both introduced a big package of reform, but also removed the arbitrary headcount targets for officer numbers that local forces found so difficult to navigate, because they were pushed into recruiting officers and putting them behind desks to do jobs that staff could do. We are not going to judge our police on the number of different types of roles, but we are going to judge our police on their outcomes, which is why we are setting targets, which is why we are driving productivity, and why we are focused on tackling crime, not on arbitrary numbers. As we are, I will give way here.
Thank you, first of all, for the report coming forward. I think the figure that was mentioned by the Minister was £1.2 billion for take on terrorism, an anti-terrorism role, extra money coming in. Obviously, we in Northern Ireland have a particular critical role when it comes to addressing the issue of terrorism. It's still active in a minor way, but still active in Northern Ireland, and because we also have a border which we have to patrol, address the issues of immigration, issues of theft of farm agricultural machinery, and all those things come into the picture. Within the Barnett Consequential, could I ask the Minister, will extra money therefore be coming to the PSNI in Northern Ireland to help us? Thank you so much. Sorry.
Well, of course, policing in itself is devolved, but the terrorism risk involves working across the whole of the United Kingdom, and the Security Minister, my honourable friend, will be working very closely to make sure we are working across all the four parts of this United Kingdom to make sure we're offering the support as we need to be. Yeah.
For the Policing Minister, moving on, she will know West Mercia Police, Shropshire, Herefordshire, Worcestershire, a very good force in many ways, but is she